What is up, my duders? We are waiting on good old Crazy Cameron to hop into voice chat, and from there we can do some good old voter ID law debates. How's my voice sound? Ooh, that's going a little hot, isn't it? We are waiting on good old Crazy Cameron to hop into voice chat, and from there we can do some good old voter ID law debates. How's my voice sound? Ooh, that's going a little hot, isn't it? We are waiting on good old Crazy Cameron to hop into. Okay, let's see if that's any better. It's a little less hot. I mean, it's still kind of hot, but okay. Well, whatever. Like, if you guys got some issue, you'll say some shit, right? My dude.
How's it go?
Holy shit! Turn your thing down.
Holy.
Dude. Hello? Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
No, I mostly hear me.
Oh, fuck. One sec.
Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida. Yeah, I still hear me.
Here we go. Voice. Oh.
Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa. Okay, that's much better. You there, my dude? Oh shit, you muted yourself. Oh shit, boys, he's already ducking out. Bill Maher's comparison of red and blue states through the debate. Why? Blue states are superior in almost every metric. Blue states generate the most jobs. Blue states have the highest standard of living. Blue state residents have the most income. Yeah, I hear you, dude.
Okay, good.
Why is
got a little bit of a fucking. It can be a bit of a pain in the ass sometimes for me to get set up here because I'm fucking running a whole lot of fucking tech in my living room, and I've got it all piped through voice meter. So I've literally got like fucking my Razer headset's fucking got a microphone on it. I've got a Yeti mic, my Q8 cam.
Okay, well, you doing better?
I did most of the time, and sometimes when I jump in, things are just not configured. Your cunt.
Okay, I don't know if this is you or me, but you're roboting.
Oh shit.
And again, I'm echoing.
Let's see here. O's. You still hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you. I still hear me is the problem. Yeah, I echo like a shitload, dude. Like, why are you playing? You've got Razer headset on. Don't play it through speakers.
Are you still hearing yourself?
I don't know. Let's find out. ZYXWVUTSRQPONMLKJ. Yep, no, I don't hear myself.
Okay, well, I'm gonna need to get a secondary setup here for my fucking buddy beside me here as well, too. That's why I've normally got my speakers.
Okay. Well, are you good to go, or are you good to go or not?
Shit as well.
Are you good to go, my dude, or not?
I'm not sure if it's just Discord being shitty, but I'm getting chunks of your,
Fuck me. Hang on.
and then it's kind of
Is it any better? Fuck. Okay, I mean, I'm showing green, but it keeps dropping to red. How do I sound? Does that sound good?
Now you sound good. I actually caught all of that, but before that,
okay,
well, speaking,
are you good to go or not? You good to go?
I'm pretty well good to go.
All right, well, then let's just dive in it. But I gotta, like, establish some ground rules, because last time I was expecting something entirely different, and I don't want to repeat it last time. So, you talked a lot, and you said some pretty crazy shit last time. So let's try to minimize the craziness if we can. And I'm sure you don't think it was crazy, but trust me, it was crazy. And
I'm going to need to define on that, though, because you got to remember here, a lot of the things that you're going to think that I say are crazy, I think a lot of the things that you say are crazy. Right now, you're
it's subjective. What I'm saying is, though, you got to let me talk as well. And last time you did,
I'm down with that.
You filibustered a lot last time, so let's try and make this a conversation instead.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the issue we have? Roaming Millennial posted a tweet that suggested that we should raise the voting age to 25, and a whole lot of people joined in on that. And I took issue with that, and for some reason you seem to be... This wound up going to voter ID laws, but you seem to be warm to the idea of interfering with people's rights.
It's like this. Kids are idiots. You have to grow up.
Adults.
You have to learn to understand the world before you are old and responsible enough to make decisions regarding world and politics. Now, if somebody is too young to go get a tattoo, go and smoke a cigarette, they are too young to make decisions that are going to affect the entire country.
Okay, I don't think that's a very compelling argument, that people are idiots, so they'll make bad decisions. A vote that a child could cast is the same vote just as easily an adult could cast, right? People make idiotic votes. Trump is fucking president. People made idiotic votes. So that's not a good enough reason to interfere with somebody's rights, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, well, if they can vote, then they ought to be able to legally be allowed to go and get tattoos, fuck whores, drink, and do all kinds of drugs, too.
Well, half those things are already illegal. No.
Because the child is too young.
No, because I think there's a fundamental difference between voting and all of those other things. Voting is an innate right to you. The ability to... Well, I would say the ability to fuck, as you put it, is something more of a privilege. And this is kind of a repeat of a conversation I had the other day, but like you conflate a lot of different things that as rights that aren't rights.
Okay, well, do you know where the right to vote comes from?
From society.
No, it comes from the fact that men sacrificed blood in the battlefield in order to pick up that right. That's why.
Cool. We're past that point. How much blood have you sacrificed to get the right to vote?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
You see, because the hard line is...
No. Right? You're not understanding. This is the problem. You're going to put forth that argument, and you're going to claim that you have this right by virtue of being a man, and that other men have died for this right. Okay? That's great. They died for the right for men to vote. We're past that point in society.
And no boys. No boys died for that. Men died.
Okay, you didn't die for that, dude. It doesn't matter who died, dude. This is who died for your rights is not relevant to why you have those rights, right? Like, just because men died for your rights doesn't mean men only get to vote. Like, that's not how voting works. That's not how any right works.
No, that's right. Actually, men changed the laws so that women wouldn't have to shed any blood in order for them to gain that right.
So why can't we change the laws so kids can vote?
Because kids are not educated enough, they're not mature enough, they are overly emotional and neurotic, they have not matured.
I feel the exact same way about conservatives. Should conservatives be allowed to vote?
Well, you see, now you're being tribalist as opposed to literalist.
What do you think you're doing? Like,
much a stupid argument.
You just planted the flag on your tribe being like adults.
Wait, hold on. Let me summarize this for you. Children are young. Children haven't learned. Liberal is a political view. Conservative is a political view. How do you feel when I say I don't think liberals ought to have a voice in the media anymore because the last 10 things they said were hate crimes that were false, allegations that were false?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the same kind of argument you're putting forward.
No, that's the argument you're putting forward. You don't even realize it. That's the argument you're putting forward, and you don't even realize it, dog. Like. Well, the last 10 kids I spoke to, they were really dumb, and they would probably make bad decisions if they wanted to vote. They couldn't do it responsibly, so no kids ought to vote. Like, how is that any different?
dude, you're literally sitting there thinking that a 16-year-old has the mentality that...
Dog, I don't think Republicans have the mentality. I genuinely don't think conservatives have the mental maturity to vote. I'm 28. How old are you?
I'm 36. And
Cool.
I know for a fact right now that I am not the same person I was when I was 28. I look back at my 28 self and I see him as an idiot. You come
Cool. What does that have to do with anything?
You come to a point in your life where you look back and you see major changes in yourself, and you start to realize how you were an idiot.
Should you have been allowed to vote at 28?
At 28, yeah, sure, but at 16...
Why? You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an entirely different person.
I was stupider, but I was smarter than I was at 16. And I was of the legal age to be drafted.
Okay.
And I was of the legal age to deal with all kinds of things that adults deal with.
Okay, and the other...
Adults are... The children are wards. They're not their own legal guardians.
No, but they're subject to the same law society makes for everybody else, right? They are shaped by the...
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. They are shaped by the...
Not.
Dude, shut the fuck up.
If
They're shaped by the world. You gotta let me talk.
For that child.
Okay, I agree. What I'm saying is children are shaped by the world our laws make, right? The laws we pass affect our children just as much as they do. Our laws on climate change affect our children. Our laws on infrastructure, our laws on school funding, these all affect children just as much as they affect anybody else. In fact, you could make an argument they affect them more, right?
That'll give you.
You're a little closer to the grave than a 5-year-old. They got to live with the after effects of climate change.
Yeah, but the hard truth is, if you take a kid and you take a man and you give them both an emotionally based argument, that child will be manipulated by that argument 90% of the time, whereas the older person...
Dog, you were giving me bullshit about how illegal immigrants are bad for the economy last talk. You are the same person. Everybody is emotionally manipulated by bad arguments. This isn't exclusive to children.
Yeah, hold on. If Bernie Sanders told you that immigration is bad for the lowest earners of America and lowest earners in America, would you believe him?
Well, not because it's coming from Bernie Sanders, but I don't disagree with that.
Well, fucking, it's strange because, you know, what I'm saying right now was the Democrat platform until 2009. Bernie ran on it.
Cool.
Hillary ran on it.
Cool.
Barack Obama ran on it.
Cool. I didn't talk to Bernie Sanders or Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton. What I'm saying is, if you want to poll most economists, they'll say immigration grows the size of the economy. It does. It grows the supply of labor. It grows the supply of consumers. Are there drawbacks? Yes. But you, as a voter, you were swayed by an emotionally manipulative argument that says it's worse for the lower classes. So you vote based on that. How is that any different from kids?
It does not help the lowest class.
Yeah, so what? It helps everyone else.
When you bring in cheap workers, it stops the bottom jobs that are supposed to have their wages go up naturally because people leave work when they don't pay, right? Right now in America, there's more jobs, there's more people quitting the jobs that they're at to go to higher paying jobs than any other point in history.
You're having an entirely separate conversation. The point wasn't that immigrants are good or bad for the economy. The point was that people in general are manipulated by emotionally manipulative arguments, right? Our rights to vote is not precluded on how rational we are. Do you support literacy tests?
Literacy tests?
Yeah, we used to have literacy tests in the United States that required, you know, people would take literacy tests before they were allowed to vote.
I don't think the literacy is necessarily a prime determinant of whether a person should be allowed to vote.
Why? That's how smart you are. That determines...
No, it's not. I've known plenty of people who were not literate who were plenty smart. They just didn't know how to read
As a rule, do you think most people who can't read or write are probably poorly educated?
Which?
As a rule, do you think most people who can't read or write are poorly educated?
Today, more so than in history.
Okay. Historically, literacy tests were used to discriminate against black people, right? But the exact same arguments were being used to support literacy tests that you're using right now. So I'm trying to wonder, would you support them? What's that?
With that whole thing with literacy in Black America, there's actually an interesting thing that came out of that. The way Black America self-educated and brought up their own literacy was hailed as an international miracle by a lot of fucking groups. Now this is a little bit unrelated, but a little bit related.
So what? I mean, it's okay to like
back then
restrict their rights because it made them smarter?
No, I don't think that they should have any rights restricted. But what I do
Well,
look
you
at
do if you
is
support
like
voter ID
culture.
laws.
I do support voter ID laws, yeah, because that has absolutely nothing to do with race today.
Sure it does. If you have a right to vote and you don't have an ID, then you don't have a right to vote, right? Your rights
If
aren't
you don't have
precluded
an ID, then why didn't you go and get one?
because
You're
some
not
people
correct.
live very far from the DMV, because some people work two
Yes, and
jobs,
some of those-
because some people have
some of
children
those
they have to
people
take care of,
fight.
because some people can't afford the $30 for a new ID. There's a lot of different reasons people don't get IDs.
Yeah, and some of those people are white, and some of those people are Asian.
Okay, as a general
That has
rule,
nothing
would
to
you?
do with race.
Oh, it does. Do you think you have to discriminate
It
against
doesn't.
every black person and discriminate against no white people for it to not be racist?
You know, I have to say something here that I'm just feeling, and I think we need to get out in the open here about who I am and who you are. Are you white?
No.
What's your ethnic background?
Hispanic.
Okay, where did you grow up?
I prefer not to tell you.
I don't need a town, just a demographic
Texas.
area.
And a demographic area, majority black.
Okay, I grew up in Canada on a reserve, multi-ethnic, German, Cree, and Ukrainian.
What does that have to do? Are we really going to argue with anecdote?
This has to do with the way we view the world, because this is what this comes down to. You have a lens, a way that you view the world. Me and you, we literally view the world in different ways. Now, you have this environment that you came up in. I have a different environment. Both those environments have their little qualms. Neither of those environments are your stereotypical white suburban.
Sure, I get this. What's your point?
Now, I could very easily say that natives up here suffer a lot of the same bullshit. We had
Oh, you could say they
fucking
suffer.
housing communities. We had fucking, and the last of the fucking residential schools only shut down in the 1990s. So like, there's natives alive today who are still in those residential schools. But even me, as a multi-ethnic, and there's a lot of people running around saying, oh, this race holds me back, this holds me back, this, that. It's all bullshit, man. I'm equal. I came to understand this, and as soon as I stopped sitting there saying, Whitey's holding me back, Whitey's doing this, and
Okay,
started looking at the world
listen.
with proper
That's
nuance,
great that you could say
That's when I
I'm
started to
equal.
fly.
No, it's great that you could say I'm equal. I'm glad that you can say you're equal. But there's a lot of people.
Everybody is.
No, not everybody is. Not everybody has access to the same resources or infrastructure that other people have. Right? A black person does not have. I mean, do you think black schools are the same as white schools?
Here's an interesting thing about black schools.
Can you just answer yes or no instead of obfuscate?
Well, obfuscate. The details mean things when it comes to this.
Okay, in
It's not as
detail,
simple as
black
just
schools
saying
tend
that.
to be worse than white schools. Black schools tend to be worsely funded. The
and yet-
teachers tend to be
no.
paid less. The class sizes
You
tend to be
know-
bigger.
You go into the inner city schools in Chicago and places like that, and a lot of them are higher funded than a lot of the lower urban fucking. You go to fucking suburban America. Fucking a lot of those schools are actually worse funded than the inner city schools in Chicago and shit. But the
I'm like
increase-
90% sure that's not true.
it did not help the students, just like affirmative action did not help the students. Affirmative action increased the dropout rates while lowering the employment rates. That's what happens
Okay.
when you pander
Again.
by race.
Okay. You keep going off on tangents. Listen. It is silly to say that races are equal when races are plainly not equal in terms of their performance, in terms of their infrastructure, in terms of the lives they live, right? So you want to say they're equal in a fundamental level. That's great. They don't have equal
Give me a
access
law.
to infrastructure.
Give me a law that holds them back.
Voter ID laws.
Show me where it mentions race.
It doesn't have to mention race. Do you really think it has to be explicit?
You have to understand, dude. Listen.
Okay, listen,
There are
dude.
white people that live right beside them. There are white people that goes to those schools. For you to say that this is racist because it completely denies the fact
No, no.
that there are white people
I'm saying
and
it's
other people
racist.
that suffer the
Listen.
same shit.
I'm saying it's racist because the majority of these laws negatively impact blacks, right? Yeah, it might affect some whites too. I have no doubt about that, and some blacks might have IDs, and it's not an issue. I understand that too, but by and large, the people who are most negatively impacted by these kinds of laws are black, right?
It's on them to fix that.
Well,
That's the hard truth.
What?
You know what other law negatively affects Black America more than other laws? Homicide law.
And?
Tell me where the other people are.
Dog, you don't have a right to murder people, but you do have a right to vote. Like, what is kind of argument is this?
But it goes back to the fact of if you look at fucking the gypsies in Europe, right? This is an example of kind of the same thing. We're going to abstract a little bit.
Why can you never just like address me directly instead of telling a story? You keep doing this. You keep going off to tell a story. Just address me.
Because the way you're framing these things requires an abstract to show the ridiculousness of the argument.
Dog, courts agree with me. Courts struck down the voter ID laws in the state of Texas and the voter ID laws in the state of North Carolina because they were explicitly designed to impact black people. And nowhere in those laws does it say this law is written to impact black people, but by its own design, it negatively impacted black people disproportionately, such that the courts thought that this was an attempt at voter suppression. Like, what is gypsies in Europe going to tell you about that?
Here's a big fucking thing to think about with this. Do we care more about fucking having a proper system of voting?
We already have a proper system of voting, dog.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do.
How many dead people voted last night?
Zero. Provide me a source.
Okay. I'll be on that in about 2 seconds.
And it's going to be fucking Breitbart. Like, come on, dude.
Hey, dude, you know what is an interesting thing? Is the truth from the devil worth less than lies from angels?
Okay, that's cute.
If Breitbart cites its source and it's a credit source...
Firstly, Breitbart has a history of providing very, shitty sources, so I wouldn't trust Breitbart as far as I could throw them. But that's not the point. The point is, as a look at the entire voting system we have, voter fraud just is not existent. When you have people who, we want to go to dead people voting, when dead people vote, you know what it tends to be? It tends to be mail-in ballots and then the person died. Right, or it tends to be somebody marked off senior's name when junior went to vote instead. Right, those tend to be things.
Because I've actually seen the accounts of people who were like, this is going through the fucking voter records. Go, here's my dead grandma from fucking 10 years ago voting Democrat. I've seen people pointing out their dead relatives.
Okay, do you have anything better than anecdote? Do you have an actual study that says this happens? You don't.
Study, 1.8 million people still registered to vote via the NPR. Oh, that's 2014.
Okay. Well, and then let's go with that. Now, why would
vote fraud? Oh, because that one's 2014. I'm looking for, here's how many dead people vote, Royal Statistical Society publication. That's 2016. But I'm looking for 2018. Because it's nice to have, here's fucking here we go. Voter fraud debate tops 1,000 proven cases from the Heritage, July 20th, 2017. All I did was Google search how many dead people voted in the last election.
Okay, give me a number. How many dead people voted in the last election?
Well, according to the Heritage, it's over 1,000.
Wow! Out of 300 million people, over 1,000. Wow.
FBI is recruiting. See, this is a large page of reading.
No, you're getting this. I know where you're getting this from. Well, if it's not Heritage, it's going to be Judicial Watch, right? And what they're going to say is the same thing. And what they're going to say is the same thing, right? You have people who this is going to be the case. You have people who.
The line is here. The dead people are voting. And illegals, like Barack Obama,
they're not. It's statistically
vote
zero. It's statistically zero.
No, it's not, dude.
I can provide you source after source after source that says it's statistically zero.
A source that's a properly non-biased one?
Yeah, Lorraine Minute. How's that? An election law expert from Rutgers University. There's tons. There's there's tons of sources on this that are properly non-biased, that are people who work in political science and look at election law.
Well, I'm going to need to take a look at those links because, as stated, literally everything that I've seen, and from the time of George W. Bush till now, has been...
Whoa, that's a perfect example. Hang on, George W. Bush is a perfect example. Do you know how many voter fraud convictions happened from his Justice Department?
I know that it was too big of a conversation. That was when
it was less than 100, dog.
That was when I was still getting fresh into the shit. But the bottom line is, from then until now, this has been a huge issue. And from then till now, I've seen literally thousands of cases of people saying, false voting's in this state, false voting's in this state, fucking dead people voting here. Barack Obama very literally telling illegals to go and vote against Trump. That happened. Now, how are those illegals going to vote?
All right, you know how illegals end up voting? Okay, so here's what happens. You get people who are who don't realize that they're not citizens because they lived here all their life and their mom told them they were citizens, trying to register to vote and getting turned away. That's one instance. The other kinds of instances of voter fraud are people who are felons trying to vote and not realizing that they were barred from voting for being felonious. Those are the only two instances where you ever have any kind of verifiable voter fraud, and even then, it's still statistically zero.
I'm going to have to read the studies on it.
I mean, Tizzy just posted one, and what's required to vote is a social security number, right? You have to have an address and a social security number, and you can make an argument that just by requiring an address, it's already discriminatory to the homeless. But it's already...
I'll give you that, honestly. I would say, honestly, that having an address...
Why can't the homeless just get a home?
Is a more
Wait, how's that any different from voter ID laws, dog? Why can't the homeless just get a home?
Because there are systems in place, and any homeless can go and get an ID. But not any homeless can go and just rent a house. You have to have a house. You usually have to have an address to receive mail. I know this. I've been homeless 4 times.
Okay, so then why couldn't this argument apply to black people and IDs?
Because there's nothing... Like, black people can go and get an ID. Being black people...
Homeless people can go and can rent a house.
Being black doesn't make you less capable.
Being homeless doesn't make you less capable.
Yeah, being homeless doesn't stop you from fucking... Like, you can go and get a voter ID as a homeless. You can go get an ID as homeless. I know, I've been homeless.
You live in Canada, dude. In the United States, you need a physical address in order to get A, an ID, or B, to vote, to get a voter registration. You have to show...
Oh, so you guys don't have P.O. boxes?
You can't use a P.O. box!
You can use a P.O. box.
I'll be right back. I'll let Tizzy do this. I'm going to go get some food real quick.
You cannot use a P.O. box to get an ID. You cannot use a physical address. In fact, I was just at the DMV the other week, and a woman brought her paycheck in order to get a verified ID, and it had a P.O. box, so she couldn't use that form of ID. She couldn't use that form as a way to get an ID. You have to have a physical address.
That's definitely a weird qualm in the American system, then. And that's something
we're talking about American system. You're talking about the American system, and then you're saying, well, that's not how it works. Yeah, that's exactly how it fucking works.
Well, to the best of my knowledge previously.
Well, then you're wrong.
I'm still saying here, being black isn't a disability.
No.
Being black doesn't stop them from getting a job. Being black doesn't stop them from moving out of the inner city.
Fucking idiot.
You can move out of those places.
Unless you're broke.
You can still find a way out of those places.
Unless you're broke.
I've been homeless 4 times,
dude. In Canada. Yeah, it's a little bit different in the United States.
You don't think anybody in the United States goes from being dirt poor to fucking having things?
This is called a survivorship bias, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so
just how much of the bottom 10%
just real quick.
leave in their lifetime.
UberDude420. If these laws are not racially discriminatory, why is it consistently that when these laws are passed, the people who are most negatively impacted are blacks?
Well, that has to do with fucking, unfortunately, bad traits in those communities, poverty that might have affected certain groups, and fucking they just haven't been fucking smart enough to go and fucking do better.
No, they're not smart enough. Or the laws are designed by the politicians in order to exploit those flaws within those communities.
Which courts have found.
If you have a flaw,
which is exactly what
you have a flaw. You have a flaw, and I exploit it. Who is really the worst? Like, sure, I'm a bad person for exploiting it.
Okay, so as long as we're admitting that they're exploiting it,
so that you can't be exploited.
Paying mentally challenged people $1 an hour. It's the mentally challenged person's fault.
Fuck. That's quite a straw man.
No, it's not.
It's literally the argument you're making that it's black people's fault for being exploited because they're not smart enough to get IDs.
Oh, it's not even smart enough.
Hey, how do you think fucking Morgan Freeman became a thing? How do you think Brandon Tatum became a
Incredible
thing? How do you think
talent.
Thomas
What is-
Sowell? How do you think Thomas Sowell became
Okay,
a thing?
it's cool that there are some exceptional
No
black
skill.
people, but what would you say is the majority of black people in this country? Would you say the majority of black people in this country are Morgan Freeman and Thomas Sowell?
And not only
From
that,
what I've seen, they have the capability of it. but
Everyone
fucking-
has the capability of. No, I'm not even sure I agree with that. Like,
why aren't you in the NFL? Why aren't you a movie star? Why aren't you a millionaire?
Wait. I'm not in the NFL because I lack fast twitch muscle fibers. You see, African Americans actually have quite an edge.
no. Let's not go there. Jesus. Let's stick with the topic, man.
If you want to fucking
The point-
talk like that, I mean,
the point is-
they have
point-
things they can use to get out of that. They have things that other races don't have the physical normal access to as well. But still, everybody looks at them like the problem case. I mean, I'm sorry, but there's troubles there. There's definitely things that need to be dealt with. But to say that all of the problems, none of them are self-caused, that's idiocy, man.
Question. Do you know how someone registers to vote in the United States?
I was fucking previously under the influence that it was fucking going in and fucking well, from what I've gathered here, the social security number to fucking validate, you fucking send in your shit, they fucking send you back your fucking location for your voting or some shit, and then you go and cast your vote.
Nope. You got to prove residency.
You got to
Almost-
prove residency.
It's almost like they already check your quote-unquote ID, and that specific forms of ID, which are what voter ID is first they have to prove the residency, and then afterwards they're forced to then show another form of ID. They already prove their residency. And this is why voter ID laws don't make it easy.
It occurs to me that if you just have to have it occurs to me that if you just have to have a physical, like a regular valid photo ID for the country, which is that is what the voter ID was, right? Proper
So
federal
voter,
voter,
no, it's
like-
no. It's there's
it
no
a-
such thing as a federal
just
ID.
real quick, guys, real quick. One species wants to get in on this too, and I feel like a dick for already dragging Tizzy in, and that wasn't fair to you, Cameron. But Tizzy was going to blow his load if he didn't get here.
I like discourse, and I like you people, even if we disagree. So I don't mind.
Okay, well, do you want Greek here?
Yeah, our buddy Greek.
Yeah. Okay. So
Wait,
I'm not.
I was always under the influence that this federal voter ID.
There's no federal voter
There's
ID.
no
dude.
such- the notion that you
there's
need-
no federal
that you-
ID. All IDs are
What I'm
state.
saying though is, from what I was under the influence of, the voter ID thing
Impression.
is that you need a physical photo form ID from the government in order to cast a vote. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, but the issue is there's more than one kind of ID that you can get from the
There's
government.
non-photo-
And
there's
some
non-photo-
states, some states specifically look at the kinds of IDs that black people use, and they basically disallow those kinds of IDs, right? That of course, black people.
What kind of ID do black people use that are different than what other people are using?
Ask the fourth Court of Appeals from North Carolina, but basically, I'm sorry. What's that, Tizzy?
No, I was gonna say. Well, let's find out what the North Carolina law was specifically, because the reason why it was struck down is it was found that the Republican legislature deliberately looked at the forms of IDs that African American voters use, right? Then they banned those forms of ID. So it's probably a birth certificate, it's probably a social security card, it's probably anything without a picture. Because the DMVs, especially when you talk about North Carolina, you're talking about more rural blacks, people who live in the South, more people that are black live in rural areas. So it's harder to get a DMV than even for the people that live in a city where there's one DMV, where the lines are over 3 to 4 hours long at a time. The working class people that don't have the time to go and get one of these IDs. They did this on purpose, so that black people wouldn't vote in places like North Carolina where they swing the vote.
All right, Greek. What's your thing?
I heard there's somebody here with intense lack of twitch muscle fiber. Is everybody okay?
Oh shit.
Hello, dude.
With what muscle fiber?
Fast twitch muscle fiber.
Yes. I definitely lack the fast twitch muscle fiber.
I just want to comment on that really fast. We won't change topic to biology. It's just that these are very easy to make statements, very hard to prove. Meaning, yeah, some black people who may not exactly represent the whole thing people call black people, the whole group, some people, yeah, they have some more twitch muscle. But the thing is, you see, they also have different lifestyle, meaning more of them are poorer. Poorer people tend to socialize in open spaces. Sports are kind of cheap and free. You can do that. And if you do sports and don't rot in front of a computer when you're young, guess what happens? Your fast twitch muscle fibers grow. Amazing.
Well, yeah, look at the fucking guys in Kenya. They're running from lions and fucking hiking for water every day, and they are fast as a motherfucker.
It doesn't work exactly like this, but okay.
It's the same thing, but yeah. But, like, it's true, though. But when you look at American culture as well, too, this is an interesting thing. A weird thing, but an interesting thing when it comes to the racial dynamic in America. The slave thing was tragic, and you know they did some selective breeding.
Oh, slavery was selective breeding. Oh, dude, selective breeding only works over generations. Not
Yes,
just a
and slavery did exist for a few generations.
A few generations. That was exactly my point.
I don't think it's
Look,
dog.
look.
No, they started, but
Does anybody want to get assistant here
No,
for
yeah,
this? Because I don't want to do this.
Give me this one.
I'm not saying-
Give me this one.
I'm not saying that they created superhumans or anything like that. But I am saying that they no doubt did select for physical traits.
Yeah,
And
but here's
I
the
can't
thing,
help but
dude.
wonder if some of that paid off in the current athletic form in America, because
Oh!
I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't see many weak African Americans.
I do.
Oh, there are.
I'm from a majority
in
black town.
Is this seriously enough?
Dude,
Okay, both of you,
I'm not-
Greek
I'm not-
Tizzy, fuck off, please. Okay, please get out. I got it. Thank you for dropping by.
I'm
No,
out of
no,
here.
one thing.
This is,
one
of course, a not all argument, but like I am saying, if you see a crowd and it's like evenly distributed, there's a lot more skinny white people, skinny Asian people, skinny fucking
All right, Greek, get it out.
strong.
Okay, I'll say one last thing and I'll go make me dinner. Here's the thing, dude. You're talking about the selection. Okay, a selection is a filter in general. Okay, it can be human made or natural, but it's a filter. You know what
Yes.
the biggest filter black
I'm sorry, everyone. This was a fucking mistake. This was a disaster.
Oh yeah,
survive 40, 50, 70 days covered in, human excrement and sweat and not being fed properly. Yeah, whoever survived the 70-day trip was, kind of stronger. But that was the main filter. It is very ignorant to have a filter like the slave boats and then think the amateurish, forced marriages that the slave owners made were, a big filter. No, the big filter was the boats, mate. Anyway.
Oh, I never said big. Oh no, I like this guy. He should stick around.
No, Greek, go away. Greek, go away. I love you. Go away.
Where's the accent from?
It's from everywhere. I'm Greek, but, my accent is from the television, I presume.
Okay, cool.
So, just the last call to sanity. Uber, dude. Yeah, some things seem so, but a second thought always helps. See you later, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. And to be
Alright.
clear, I was never saying that that's the sole thing. No doubts the boat was a fucking big thing.
Okay,
But
Cameron.
Bottom line, I look at
No. We're moving on from this. No more of this. All
Fair
right,
enough.
done. All right, please. Where? All right, Cameron. I'm sorry.
Back to ID.
Yeah, I'm sorry to spring them on you, but Tizzy was messaging me, and I knew he was gonna like blow his load because I know Tizzy. And then Greek. Well, he's Greek. He's great.
Don't worry, you know where I stand,
Yeah.
man.
Okay, so I'm going to read apart from the Fourth Court of Appeals ruling on the North Carolina law that somebody provided in chat. The legislature amended the bill to exclude many of the alternative forms of photo IDs used by African Americans, and retained only the kinds of IDs that white North Carolinians were most likely to possess. Now, that seems to me to be pretty directly like. Why else would you be asking for the kinds of IDs that white North Carolinians would possess, but not blacks?
Is the proposition for voter ID law a federal proposition, or is it state?
It tends to be by state. There's no federal photo ID. You only have a social security number that you already provide when you register. So in that sense, you already prove who you are. Well, I mean, it's politically, it's a federal issue. Like, I don't know what you mean, like, call for it. Like, it's something we debate in our national politics, but state legislatures are the ones who pass these laws.
Yes, so that's the big difference to me. The problem isn't the notion of voter ID laws. That's a federal idea. The problem is North Carolina's particular interpretation of how they want to work within that framework.
And Texas.
So it's North Carolina there that's fucked up. But
why do you think any of these other places would be all that different?
System. Because the hard truth is that voter, like, in my opinion, right, being a person who cares about the count and wants to see things properly set up, if you have a proper photo form ID, then that tends to show you're a proper citizen in all rights.
You already prove you're a proper citizen in all,
right?
But you already prove you're a proper citizen in all rights when you register and get with your social security number. Like,
the social security number doesn't show your picture.
Why does it have to?
I can bring a birth certificate somewhere and get a fake ID. That's why it has to.
Oh, you couldn't just get a fake ID? I mean, like if you can get a fake ID, it kind of defeats the purpose of the voter IDs as well, doesn't it?
Well, no.
Why not do fingerprint scans to vote? Would you support fingerprint scans to vote?
You see, that's actually an interesting one. I don't like the idea of them having everybody's fingerprints, but I do.
Why? You like them having everybody's picture?
Viable form of actually confirming everything.
Okay, it's already confirmed. There's not an issue with voter fraud in this country. Like, you can read the PolitiFact thing that Tizzy provided, but if you look for this, right, you just...
Hold up. PolitiFact is itself politically biased.
Weren't you going to provide me Breitbart earlier? What happened to, would you rather get the truth from the devil or a lie from an angel? You don't see this as like a blatant 180?
No, I don't know with this, because when fucking Donald Trump gave...
When it agrees with you, you don't.
Donald Trump gave a speech, and he goddamn near quoted Bernie Sanders verbatim, PolitiFact found Bernie Sanders to be mostly true and Donald Trump to be mostly false. So yes, it is politically biased in an obvious way.
Okay, that's cool. Breitbart tried to say that Chuck Hagel, his nomination was held up because he was Friends of Hamas. He was being funded by Friends of Hamas. Right? If you really want to talk about journalistic integrity, let's talk about that kind of bullshit.
Yeah, I call that out too when I see it. That's why I said,
But you're fine with Breitbart.
And the truth from the fucking... No, I told you, if Breitbart makes a fucking article and they share a link, and that link is from a study, then you're reading their opinion about a valid study.
Just provide me the study instead of the Breitbart article.
And you have to understand the difference between the two. And then you look at the study and you form your own opinion. But you're still getting the truth of that story from Breitbart because they linked you to the study. Even if you disagree with Breitbart's outcome from the study, you just got your truth from the devil because he gave you the link.
Okay, so Washington Post, voter fraud isn't a problem in America, low voter turnout is. Is that good?
That's I would actually like to take a look at it because that's a link I'd like to fact check.
Myth of Voter Fraud by the Brennan Center of Justice. Is that good?
That sounds a lot better than Washington Post. I'll take a look at that.
The problem of voter fraud from the Columbia Law Review. Reading from this, voter identification laws have provoked a fierce controversy in public law and politics. Sorry, give me 1 second.
Brennan Center for Justice. Bio.
I'm actually... okay, this essay is actually saying that voter ID laws can actually exacerbate fraud. That's interesting.
That I would need to hear the breakdown on argument.
Well, I'm not going to read this on the spot, but I can give you this if you want.
Understandably, it's tricky going through these things like this.
Fact check. Trump and Republicans claim voter fraud is a huge problem from NBC News. Let's see this.
I hate to say it like this, but far left, no, left center. Okay. So I have understood that the Brennan Center for Justice does have a left center bias. I'm still going to read through the article, understanding that they have that bias, and fact check. But I'll take it serious.
What do you say about the voter fraud commission that Donald Trump put together that came away with nothing?
Really, for these things,
Hello?
come down to hard statistical analysis, places that actually collect the stats. But
Hang on. What do you say about Donald Trump's own voter fraud commission that was tasked with investigating voter fraud and came away with nothing?
you have a link? I would actually like to take a look at that. If they came away with nothing, then fucking honestly, I would see it as probably being somewhat viable because it's what he's running on, and if his group is finding it, then it's
Right there,
somewhat-
CNN. Trump voting commission had no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
Open link.
Like, this is a pretty consistent thing you find when you just Google it. You find that there is no voter fraud.
This site cannot be reached. Can you click that CNN link and see if it opens for you?
No, it doesn't. Hang on.
Looks like they deleted their story. That would tell me that there's a good chance that it was fake news. Because CNN, all of these publications, they've been pretty goddamn notorious for printing fake news, getting called out, and then deleting their stories without printing redactions.
Okay, cool. I mean, I'm reading it right now. Like,
You see
I don't
it
know
open for
why
you?
this is Discord fucking up, but you can just copy and paste the link and open it. It's from August 4th, 2018.
Okay, fucking copy link, open it up. Why is Discord being a cunt?
I don't know.
Discord, fix your shit! Yeah, it's fucking still not opening for me. What
Just
the fuck?
copy and paste it.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Copy.
Okay, so every time these laws pass, a pretty consistent find, you find this in like the state of Georgia, you definitely found this in North Carolina and Texas, is what you find is there's more than just requirements for photo IDs every time, right? What they tend to do is they cut back on early voting days because minorities tend to vote early compared to whites. What they tend to do is they close polling places in like minority neighborhoods so that they have to go further away to go and vote, right? They restrict access to like certain DMVs. Like if you're like in the state of Texas, do you have any idea how big Texas is?
Oh, I know it's huge.
Okay, it's not an exaggeration to say some minority neighborhoods here have to drive 100+ miles to go to a DMV, right? And this was something that got brought up in the Texas lawsuit, is you're not even allowed to subpoena people to appear before a court if they're more than 100 miles away because it's too much of a burden. But requiring this by law to vote, you don't see that as an issue?
I think it should be addressed and fixed in various ways, but I do think that
Why have it at
a
all?
person should have to show voter ID, like an actual
Why?
ID to vote.
We just
I
went
think
through
that
like a
those
giant
places-
plethora of sources that
those
say,
places should fix their infrastructure.
okay, how about we automatically register people to vote? You okay with that?
Automatically, if they're properly valid citizens and everything is good to go, then yeah.
Yeah, how about this? How about you-
Any possibility for any fake votes, so that illegals can't vote, and so that every American has the ability to
They
vote.
don't already. They
That's
don't
the
even
idea.
in states that don't require photo ID. Like we already have this.
But that's, like I said, the whole system is obviously fucked up if people on both sides.
You're the one trying to fuck it up further, though. Like you don't see that?
Dude.
There's like no reason for these laws. I mean, we just went through a whole bunch of sources that say there's no voter fraud. So the reason they're claiming that we should have these laws doesn't exist, number one. Number two, every time the courts look at some of this shit, they end up overturning it and saying it's racially discriminatory.
And a lot of that comes from fucking, how to say this here? Nuance. If you live in a community, yes, here's a hard truth. Here's a hard truth. Many rural southern communities live far away from the fucking voting stations. All that stuff, yeah, totally true. Yeah, there are still white people who live in those communities. To say that it's just racist because is a
okay. If it's not racist,
is.
If it's
they
not,
need to fix the system. They need to make it so that these people have proper DMVs in their areas.
if it's not racist, Cameron, hang on. If it's not racist, how come consistently the people most negatively impacted are minorities?
Because unfortunately, consistently, minorities are in the situation that is unfortunately hard on that. But they're not alone there.
Okay.
White people are there too.
Who? Okay. Yes.
White racist completely negates those people.
No. Do you think you have to listen? Do you think that if you discriminate against black people more than you discriminate against white people, that it's any less racist?
You know, define racism.
Okay, so treating people differently on the basis of race. This could be an intent, or this can be an intent or an effect, right? Voter ID laws, in some cases, like North Carolina and Texas, they were intentionally tailored such that they would treat black people differently from white people, right? And in most other places, the effect is they treat black people differently from white people.
I understand what you're saying here, and I still disagree with the terminology.
What word would you like to? What word should I use?
You want to say that it is a bigoted thing, that it affects poor
What's
people.
the difference between bigoted and racist?
It's a very big difference.
Explain it to me.
Racism is something that racism is the inflicted superiority or inferiority of your race or another race. That is very different from bigotry.
Dog, these laws are constructed to stop black people from voting. Like, isn't that in itself a tacit admission that whites are the superior voters?
No.
How do you figure?
If they were engineered by a guy who had that idea, then that guy was racist in his creation of that idea. The law itself, be it that it has no reference to race, and it also.
What would these laws have to look like for you to call them racist?
Hold up. They would have to mention race.
Okay, so
they would have to say black people this.
So Section 5, Clause 2 would have to say blacks are denied from voting?
Yes.
Anything short of that, it can't be racist to you.
Bigoted, maybe.
Okay, this feels absurdly silly to me. Like, I can't.
Because you need to understand, right now America is coming apart.
Wait, are we really exploring the nuanced difference between bigoted and racist?
Right now, America is coming apart at the seams because of fake hate crimes and bullshit around race.
What does that have to do with voter fraud?
When you call things that aren't racist, you stir that pot.
I'm calling things racist that the Fourth Court of Appeals called racist.
The Fourth Court of Appeals should have called it bigoted.
Okay.
Unfortunately, a lot of the times in these trials, they have people in there speaking their arguments. And when people speak their arguments, they often frame those arguments in victimized ways. That creates the narrative of racism around the entire conversation.
Hold on, these laws.
As a result,
I mean, in North Carolina, hang on, in North Carolina, these laws were written explicitly to stop black people from voting, right? That was the reason for writing these laws. I think some people are justified in saying that they are racially victimized by these laws.
Then a racist wrote a bigoted law that also affects people who are not black.
If it affects one white person, like, is this really your logic that if it affects one white person, it's no longer racist?
You really think it only affects one white person?
How many white people does it have to affect for you?
You don't get this.
You're right, I don't, because when I look at this, the majority of people impacted are black, but you keep saying some white people are also impacted, so it's not racist. I don't follow this logic. I'm going by the majority.
It's people of all kinds of races that live everywhere in America. Natives live on reserves. A lot of them live a long, long ways out of the voting area.
Are you okay? So to repeat my question, how many whites does it have to affect for it to not be racist to you?
And see right there, just whites.
Just any white.
All kinds of people.
Okay, but it affects one race. It affects one race more than the other in a negative way, right? But your argument was it affects some whites in this negative way as well. So I'm asking, how many whites in this negative way does it have to affect for it not to be racist?
It's a non-question. It affects those
That's the core of your argument, dude.
They have made in their lives.
You're looking at this like a toddler. It's the core of your argument was that it affected some whites too, so it wasn't racist.
Dude, it's literally not. If a law is written and says black people this, that's a racist law. If a law is written by a racist in an attempt.
Do you think poll taxes were racist?
Let me finish. Let me finish what I'm saying.
Yeah, sorry that.
If he creates a law to affect minorities like blacks, for example, he's a racist. He hates blacks. He wants to make a law that's going to affect blacks. But hard truth for this guy, he doesn't live in a racist country. It's illegal for him to pass laws that are racist. So if he passes a law, the very best he can do is try for a bigoted law and hope that it affects people in a racist way. Unfortunately, it can't if they simply make different choices. Move to a bigger city. Build a fucking DMV. Improve your local situation. Right?
Okay. Do you
like
this
is a very nuanced thing.
It's not. It's not. You're looking at this like a toddler. Do you know what poll taxes were?
No.
Okay, poll taxes were a required fee that you used to have to pay to vote. That it was never explicitly racial, right? But it was always priced out black people from voting, right? It always imposed a fee such that blacks couldn't vote. Could some whites not meet that fee as well? Absolutely. But poll taxes were used primarily to stop black people from voting. Would you honestly defend poll taxes as not racially discriminatory?
I would call them bigoted.
Okay.
They affected minorities.
That's not knife, this is knife. Hang on. That's not knife, this is knife in question. Hang on. Somebody's posing...
is a bad thing. Just like racism is a bad thing. If you take a machete and you take a fucking
If they're
knife,
both bad things, why are you defending them, dog? Like, you're defending them. You're here saying we should have voter ID laws.
I do think that there should be a fucking validation to voting. I don't see that as
even if they're big.
I don't see
Wait,
that
do you agree or disagree with what you were just saying? We just went over this. You were saying it was bigoted, not racist. Now you're saying it's not bigoted?
No, I'm saying he created a law attempting to be bigoted, and though that might have been bigoted in its fucking effect, but the hard truth is that can be changed by simply those communities doing better, building a DMV. So they don't have to travel 100 miles.
So, somebody poses a question in chat. Ban people named Tyrone from voting. Now, let's just say, for the sake of argument, I pass a law in the state of Texas as the great dictator of Texas. Yeah, I single out people named Tyrone, and I say that the Tyrones of the world are not allowed to vote. Now, I never explicitly mention race. I never once say race. Right? You can have a white guy named Tyrone. This could just as easily impact whites named Tyrone as it does blacks named Tyrone. Would you defend that?
Oh my god. That's a stupid argument. No, I wouldn't defend that, but I would definitely defend Tyrone not being able to just walk in and say, hey, I'm Tyrone, I'm voting for this person.
No, I'm asking, would you say that's not racist? That's what I'm asking specifically.
I would say that is not racist, because there are people of other ethnicities named Tyrone. There are. Hard truth.
I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah, it's bigoted, because there's a lot more fucking Tyrones that are black. It might have been made by a racist.
I don't feel like you're honest. Either you're not honestly engaging with this, or you have the mental understanding of a toddler when it comes to these topics. And you're talking about nuance, but every single time you keep defaulting to this argument that if it affects one person of a different race, it can't be racist. And I cannot fathom that. How you can be like, how this is your argument. How are you 36 and this? You honestly think you have a better understanding of the world than the 28-year-old?
Dude, racism is the inflection of superiority or inferiority of your race or another race. That's the dictionary definition.
Cool. You
Now,
don't
racist?
have to mention race to be racist, right? You can find, like, do you think lawmakers ever wrote...
to be racist? Then that law has to address race. Otherwise, it's not targeting a race.
Okay, so
Otherwise, it's targeting a demographic of people, like
yeah,
poor
and it's
people.
just targeting Tyrones, right? Like, there's secondhand ways to get around
The
targeting
voter
race.
ID law, the voter ID law targets poor people.
Then why are you defending them?
All rural areas far away because it's not racist.
Okay,
That's
when you
why.
okay, I'll, at the risk of repeating myself for like a fifth fucking time, if you look at these laws and the way they are written, the people who are most negatively impacted consistently are black people. Consistently. Okay,
Because
you want to
they
say
don't have DMV in their community, right?
yeah, because they don't have a DMV in the
Build a
community.
fucking DMV. Build a fucking DMV.
Don't name
How
your
hard
kid
is it?
Tyrone.
Build a
Like,
building.
well, this is you're not. How are people like you real? This is why I don't think conservatives should vote. This is legitimately why. It's like I'm debating a toddler. I'm sorry to be mean. Like, I'm not.
Why can't answer this question? Why can't they build a fucking DMV?
Because they're poor.
It doesn't take a lot to build a DMV. You live in a community. You can build a fucking gas station, right? Build a fucking DMV. You live 100 miles from a DMV, you need to drive, right? Build a fucking DMV! How hard is it?
I don't know. Build a DMV and let me know, dude.
Seriously. I'm getting called the idiot. I'm getting called the asshole when I'm saying these people ought to be able to be doing better for themselves.
Your answer to people who have their infrastructure. Hang on. Your answer to people who have their infrastructure yanked away from them is they should just build a DMV? Yeah, I think I'm going to call you an asshole in this conversation.
Wait, did they have a DMV that was yanked away from them by the federal government?
Firstly,
By the state?
in several of these places they did. In several of these places, polling places were closed in minority neighborhoods.
Okay, well, again, I think that's wrong. I think they should build fucking proper buildings and keep that shit going. Now, if these communities have private fucking leadership, you know, they're not fucking dictated to by the state on how they have to live, why are they unable to, as a community, build a building?
Dog, DMVs are state provided. They're not something a community can just get together and construct like it's a fucking church in an Amish community. Right? This is something the state has to provide. This is something the state has to sanction. It's something the state has to allocate funds for. This is really your answer to people who have no access to DMVs to get voter IDs?
Isn't the DMV privatized in the States? Don't you guys have like
No!
1,000 fucking companies?
Insurance. What?
You go through the insurance companies to fucking like, to go through.
No! The DMV is not privatized, and the DMV has nothing to do with insurance.
Doesn't? Oh fuck! Wait, no, I'm fucking gapping out here. That's just fucking licensing and insurance. My bad. We have a fucking different setup up here for that shit. We go through fucking ICBC for everything. Fucking cocksuckers have a monopoly on our shit. But no, I still stand by the fucking fact that fucking Americans can change their system. That's a system,
Right?
you know?
Okay.
The government isn't
I
people,
agree.
it's not a personified
Americans
system.
can change their system.
And-
I want to make the system of voting as
what
easy as
they-
possible.
And those communities could do that by fucking setting up a proper system within those communities so that they don't have to go 100 miles to cast a vote. Even without the voter ID law, that makes it a little bit hard for them. If they can't be summoned, but they still got to drive over 100 miles to cast a vote, build a fucking polling station. Poll your member of parliament. Do what you gotta do. Build a fucking polling station.
Chat, I am seconds away from shooting myself in the face. I really am.
Even you have to agree with that.
I think we've exhausted what we can in this conversation. I still think you said a lot of stupid shit, but at least I was a little bit more pushy backy against the stupid shit. I don't know. I'm sorry I was a dick. Let me make that apology for being a dick, but I can't. I can't
do the same thing.
fathom this argument that they should just build a DMV every time they Never mind. We're not getting into it. I'm not convinced that you were honestly engaging the topic or that you had a sufficient understanding of the topic. And I'm sure you're going to think the same of me.
I didn't have a full understanding of all of the technical underlying, some of the shit with the fucking, the structure of the setup down there. Some of that I did have to pick up. But I do still stand by a solid belief that a law, in order to be racist, must refer to race. Otherwise, it is a bigoted law. And when we call things that aren't racist, we're doing some real damage in society because it's coming apart at the fucking seams right now.
I think we do more over that. I think we do more damage to society when people like you obfuscate or defend racist laws and nitpick at them as, well, they're just bigoted instead. I think that's what does damage to society.
Everything's racist today, though, right? And you look at how many fucking things are happening. Like, look
wait, because some things are racist, everything's racist. I don't think I've made that argument. Right? You can acknowledge that you can acknowledge that some things are racist and some things are overblown race baiting nonsense. Right? That's perfectly possible. I don't think I'm one of these people who thinks everything is racist, but I'm identifying something that courts have found as racist. And you're seeming to disagree. I don't know.
But here's my stand on that, right? Like, I look at race as being this weird thing these days. And we're humans. We classify things. Yeah, we're all human, and we all stem from the same fucking types of beings. We interbred with other hominids in order to create different groups. Now we have all these different groups. Just in the same way as a wolf is not a chihuahua. You know, we have differences. We all stem from the same creature. So race is a valid construct for seeing some base differences in groups. But we were pretty stupid in our early history over what race was. We thought we were all different, and we otherized each other. And we fucking goddamn near fucking ripped the fucking world apart over that shit. Now, I thought we were over most of this in the 90s. We had the civil rights movement and all of that shit that happened. We've eradicated racist law from being a thing. It's not allowed to have racist terminology in it. It gets struck down for those reasons. Often, even when it doesn't have racist language, when it's just something like this. Now, the hard truth is, and I'm not saying this is you, but on your side, on your team, the left, not saying you're on the left, you got liberal in there, and I don't believe liberals are leftists. But the left is fucking definitely taken over a lot of the left side. You've got people like Anita Sarkeesian running around saying absolutely everything is racist, everything is sexist, and it all has to be called out. And the end result has been a split in society. You've seen courses like the Trouble of Whiteness pop up in universities. You've seen the outright demonization of whiteness being legitimized. You see people who say white culture is a beautiful thing being told whiteness isn't a thing. Europeans are a bunch of different groups, but somehow blackness is a thing, even though they are all different groups, just alike. We're exactly the same in all those terms, but today, people are using race to rip people apart, and I want everybody to get the fuck over it.
I agree. When is a white man going to get a break in this country?
No, it's not about white man getting a break in this country. I grew up on a reserve, multi-ethnic.
I'm fucking with you, dude. I'm fucking with you. We don't want to get back into it. I'm fucking with you.
Yeah. It's just, I want to see it all come to an end. And to me, a large part of that means very, very specifically calling things that are bigoted. Not saying racism anytime possible.
Well, that applies to you too, whether you realize it or not. Like when we started this conversation, you tried to imply that I was the racist for wanting people to have an easier time to vote. You were basically implying I was a racist.
Well, no, I was saying that it's a racist view to say that voter ID laws is racist. On the basis
calling something racist is racist?
No, like here, to say that an idea is racist is not the same as saying that a person is racist. A person can have an idea and that idea can change.
Okay, do you think I'm a racist?
Come across my mind. No.
Then why did you say that?
But I do think that the notion that voter ID laws are racist is a racist idea. That doesn't mean I think you're racist. It means I think you are mistaken on an idea that in the end I perceive to be a racist idea. That doesn't mean I think you hate minorities or you see yourself as better or worse. It means I see that argument. It's
Okay, Cameron. Listen. I appreciate you coming on and arguing again. I'm sorry if it got heated, and I hate you from the bottom of my heart. But you came on, so you get the last word. Say what you want, and then we'll kill it.
Okay. I don't hate anybody here. You least of all, even if we disagree. Because one of the things that you have obviously shown that is extremely fucking lacking on the left is a willingness to discourse. And I appreciate that. Outside of that, I've obviously stated I think racism is a stupid thing. I think we should do our best to move away from that as a topic entirely and work on the nuance of individuality. Everybody is working on these big fucking tribal groups. Everyone's gay, straight, right, left, black, white, or Asian, and no one's fucking Bob from New York. And I think that needs to change.
Fucking Bob. All right, man. Oh, was that it?
Outside of that, yeah, that's pretty well about it. I hope everybody in the chat the best of fucking life, even the ones who are my haters, because the best fucking fuck you is a smile. And,
all right, word up.
I love all of you.
Yeah, all right, Cameron. Peace, love, and rock and roll, my dude.
Fucking A, man. Stay hard. Take no shit.
I'm gonna fucking kill myself. I'm gonna fucking shoot myself in the fucking face. I'm gonna get my gun right fucking now and put it to my fucking temple. I can't take this. I can't believe this is a real fucking person. Oh. How? Help me. Oh my god. Oh, this was a mistake. I don't know why I thought it would be different. No, I knew it would be more or less the same. I think I just figured I'd be a little bit more confrontational than before. Oh my fucking god. What did I miss, chat? What how are... I don't... Jersa Gonin, am I in favor of free IDs? Yes, because I think if you have to pay to get an ID to vote, it's basically a poll tax. The young people that don't have IDs are 18 to 20-year-old males that don't drive, or other people who don't drive. Like, this isn't unrealistic. Like, if you're 36 and you're a mother of 4 and you only make, like, $18,000 a year, you probably can't afford a car, right? Like, that's not unreasonable. Like, some people, like, that's not an unrealistic situation. A lot of people take public transportation. They don't see a need to get IDs. Selective breeding. Oh, God. LSP doesn't live by the same morals he holds other people to. What morals? I don't know what you're talking about. Gerrymandering. Yeah. You want to talk about fucking voter fraud? Let's talk about that shit. Do you think liberals are intentionally lying to you? Yeah, I'm intentionally lying to you. Why do you think black and other groups can't get IDs? Because they're poor? Like, that's a good reason, right? Because they're poor. Because they are facing different kinds of circumstances than other people. Like, this would be why you couldn't get an ID, right? It doesn't just have to be, like, black people. Like, you can apply this to any group. But if you're poor and you're facing X circumstance that would prohibit you from getting an ID, you're not going to be able to get an ID. And state legislatures know this. It just happens that the people who tend to not be able to get IDs are black, by and large. And it also just so happens that they tend to vote Democrat. Blacks tend to be Democratic voters. And the state legislatures that pass these laws tend to be Republican. It has to do with need. 18 to 20 males don't need IDs. All that is yada yada yada. Free ID. Mail it to them. You already do. It's called a social security number. You get it at birth. Are we going free ID and mail it to them? Else we'll find a way to reject it. Because I will. Because it's not necessary. Because we just went through a giant list of like sources that basically say the same thing. That voter fraud's a canard. It isn't a real thing. LSP is making assumptions. Political advantage equals racism to LSP. Race-based political advantage does. Doesn't he mean prejudice, not bigoted? Yeah. All right, let's see what's new. Okay, guys, chat. Tell me how did we do? How was this? How did this go? Yes, but percentage-wise, it affects blank. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. Okay, so I hope you're all good, chat. This was something else. I'm depressed. I'm genuinely depressed that he would call the laws bigoted but not racist. Like, okay. Okay, anyway, you guys all peace out.